Welcome to today's webcast, Collecting Valuable Deal Intelligence Using ShareVault. My name is John Badger, co-founder and VP of Marketing and Product here at ShareVault. And today we're going to take a look at how a good virtual data room can provide invaluable insight into the due diligence process, potentially translating into an improved position in negotiations and more favorable terms. This will take less than 30 minutes total. Your audio is muted to avoid background noise, so if you have a question, please type it into the question box and we will answer it at the end. You will receive an email from us in a few days when the webinar recording is available. First, a bit of background on ShareVault. We launched ShareVault in 2006, and since then we've become a leading virtual data room provider with over 75,000 users and customers in 46 countries worldwide. Our platform is known for combining bank-grade security and powerful features with a speedy, responsive, and easy-to-use user interface. Our highly rated customer support team is available 24/7 to assist you with any questions that you or your end users might have. ShareVault has been used for due diligence in tens of billions of dollars worth of deals, including acquisitions, mergers, venture financings, private placements, IPOs, and biopharma partnering deals. Here are just a few sample tombstones from transactions that were done using ShareVault for due diligence. When it comes time for due diligence, you've got a variety of choices for how to share the due diligence materials with your potential acquirers, partners, investors, or bidders. You can use physical media such as DVD or USB flash drive. You can just email documents as attachments. You can use FTP or file transfer protocol, which can be set up by your IT department. Generic file sharing systems such as Box, Dropbox, and Google Drive. Of course, you can always go back to the old days of physical data rooms where you put all your documents as paper in file cabinet. And you can also use a virtual data room. Virtual data rooms, also known as VDRs, or just data rooms, provide a degree of security, document organization, and activity reporting tools that you're just not going to get from these other solutions. Unfortunately, most data rooms are just painfully slow, clunky, and hard to use. So get to know the other side. When it comes to due diligence, the more you know about the other party, the better. Ed Powers of Bank of America Merrill Lynch and frequent contributor to Inc. magazine on subjects pertaining to corporate finance has this to say about due diligence. You won't be learning quite as much about the potential buyer as they will be learning about you. Still, use this time to get to know the other side. Understanding how they act and think will make it easier to deal with them more effectively during and after the transaction. There are many ways to get to know your buyer, of course, but one of the best ways is to observe how they conduct due diligence on your firm. Actions speak louder than words. People are careful to invest their precious time in what's important to them, and if there are lawyers involved in the document review, and there usually are, time spent reviewing your documents can become very expensive. So being able to easily monitor how users spend their time on your due diligence documents will provide extremely useful information. What documents are being viewed, by whom, how much time are they spending, how many pages are they reviewing, which documents are of interest to them. You can get invaluable insight into what's important to each of the parties involved in your transaction. What is the comparative level of interest of each party? Who is serious and who's just kicking the tires? And if they are interested, then what areas are they focused on? Compliance, technology, financials, customer contracts? And in the event that something goes wrong after the deal is done and the other party accuses you of not disclosing something, you can always refer to the detailed audit trail for proof of disclosure. ShareVault's reports are advanced but extremely intuitive and easy to use, as you'll see in just a moment when we log in to show them. They provide a detailed monitoring of who has seen what and when, including a page-level audit trail, time spent actively scrolling, and IP address tracking with reverse IP lookup, so you know where your users are logged in from and when they review your due diligence materials. The page level activity tracking is a unique feature with ShareVault. Only one other data room provider has this functionality, but it comes at a high cost because their document viewer only allows the user to view one page at a time. It's very clunky to get through pages. ShareVault's fast and smooth scrolling document viewers, whether you're using our web viewer, the ultra-fast ShareVault Reader app, or the iOS app for iPad or iPhone, provide page-level tracking without interfering with the smooth scrolling and high-speed document viewing experience. In addition, our competitors' reports are typically not interactive, so you will need to download the report and then customize it in Excel. But as you'll see in a few minutes, ShareVault provides powerful and easy-to-use interactive tools to visualize your user activity, including filters, easy-to-use built-in queries, and single-click drill downs. There's even a heat map to provide a clear visualization of the most active ShareVault users. And of course, you can always export the reports to Excel. And since ShareVault reporting is real-time, the report always contains the latest data. So let's pop over to ShareVault to take you through some of the points that I've made. So I'm currently logged into ShareVault. When you first log in, you get to this page here, the Documents page. You can see how the documents in this ShareVault are organized. Let's first, before we get into reports, let me explain a concept on the Users and Groups page called Groups. So all of the users within this ShareVault listed over here, on the left, belong to groups. So if I expand a group, I can see the members of the group. And similarly, if I expand a user, I can find out the groups that user belongs to. A user can belong to multiple groups. To add a user to a group is just a matter of doing a drag and drop. Let's do that again. Just do a drag and drop. So it's very quick and easy to create your user to group mapping. Typically, you do your permissioning based on groups, but the other thing is that the reporting feature that we're about to show you is based on groups. So now let's go ahead and go over to the Reports tab to show you exactly how ShareVault reports help with the deal intelligence. So first of all, you have the Activity Summary Report. In a moment, we're going to go over and show you the Activity List Report. Activity Summary is kind of a high-level view of what's happened within your data room. So for each group, and your groups are listed here horizontally, you can scroll through left to right and look at their activity. So you can find out how many users have been invited to each group, the number of users who have accessed ShareVault at least once, and then the total number of logins from each group. So that's one degree of activity level, is how many logins. The number of files that are accessible to that group, because remember, you can use ShareVault's permissioning to limit some of the files access, so you can make it so that certain of the due diligence teams can access only a subset of the documents. And then you can view how many of those files have been accessed by a group. So for example, this group, Wickham Equity, has viewed 30 of the 277 documents that are available. We can view that as a percentage. So you can see they've only viewed 11% and 89% have not been viewed. So that's how you can customize it as well. The number of total pages that's accessible is 8,001 pages accessible to this group, Wickham Equity, and they've viewed 198 of the pages. So you can see that this group here, Worthington Capital, has viewed far more pages. And then they've also spent, this Worthington Capital has spent 18 hours versus 4 hours and 43 minutes for Wickham Equity viewing documents. And that's a very, very powerful feature. A user has to be actively scrolling through the documents. If you stop scrolling for more than a few minutes, you've probably stopped reading and you're you've gotten up to get a coffee or take care of something else. So it's actually a very robust activity level to monitor the amount of time that's spent. And, very often, particularly in the early stages of due diligence, you don't allow document printing. And so scrolling through documents is a really accurate activity level indicator. Now we can actually drill down and get this information on a per tag basis. So if I expand this, you can see what people are spending their time on. And you can see, let's actually put this, that we currently are showing the number of files out of the total available that a user or group has accessed. We can view that on a viewing time, and you can see that Wickham Equity has spent an hour and 50 minutes reviewing financials versus 8 hours and 30 minutes. So this is a very powerful report. One of the things that you can do to help visualize it is to turn on the heat map. So if I turn on the heat map, it's going to show me in red the most active users. So for example, under operational matters, Worthington Capital has spent the most time because it's shown in red. And then what I can do is click on any of these columns, and it's going to sort horizontally to show the most active group regarding whatever criteria I've clicked on. So if I click on last login, a user from DCH is the most recently logged in user. Okay. So this heat map capability kind of gives you this nice visualizing capability. The other thing you can do is drill down. So for example, there's a group here called Galaxy Enterprises. If I click on Galaxy Enterprises, it's going to take the users in the group called Galaxy Enterprises and give me the summary data on an individual per user basis. And again, you can expand this and view it interactively. When you create these, you can actually take your report settings, if you've gotten a report set up just the way you want it, and you can actually save it. And you can create different reports and make another report be your default. So I can actually take this and save this as my report. And you might want to make it the default so that every time you load the reports page, that's the report that comes up. So extremely configurable. I didn't mention this earlier, but you can actually set the date range according to these presets, or you can configure yourself what date range you want for a certain activity report. So extremely powerful and interactive. Of course, you can export this to Excel. So if I just click on the Excel icon and open it Excel, it will show me the same information that's portrayed in the interactive report can be viewed in Excel for further analysis. So very, very powerful activity summary report. Now, and that's kind of the tool that you would use to comparatively view who's spending the most time on different sections of your data room. The activity list is another way to view the reporting information, and this is kind of like a comprehensive audit trail. So let me go ahead and start by ignoring the date and time. You can filter just like you did before. You can filter by date and time. And currently it's set up to just show events from today. So I'm going to go ahead and ignore the date and time. And then I'm going to customize my report to say I'm only interested in viewing or document downloading activity that's been done by these two groups here, Wickham Equity and Worthington Capital. So I want to compare their activity. I could even filter by tag. And I update the report. So it's generating a new report. So basically I'm doing this very, very simple, intuitive query on all this data. 1,179 events reported since 2012. And I can scroll through and look at every document that's either been downloaded or viewed by members of this group. And then it shows you for each document how much time the user spent within that document and then what pages were viewed. So you can see that pages 1, 2, 4, and 6 were viewed over a 1-minute period by this user on this date at this time. and that they were viewed from California based on the reverse IP address lookup. So again, extremely powerful kind of audit trail that gives you a complete history of the documents that have been viewed. Of course, you can also track documents that have been published, deleted, renamed. It's a complete audit capability. If you want to make the screen real estate bigger, you can hide the query parameters. And then, of course, this document as well is exportable to Excel. So I can take this query, and the results of this query will be dumped into an Excel spreadsheet that, again, I can open right up in Excel for further analysis. It's a big file, so it's taking a minute to open up. Okay, I guess it's bigger than I thought. So we'll let that one keep going. So that gives you kind of an overview of the reporting capability of ShareVault. And remember that there's a lot of very easy to use and powerful features within ShareVault, and make sure that if you want to see more than just the reporting features that I've kind of focused on, that you sign up for a demo with one of our sales people, and you can get a comprehensive demo of ShareVault that's customized to your needs. Or you can sign up for a trial at ShareVault.com, and you can play around with ShareVault yourself on a trial basis. So make sure to take the opportunity, if you find what you've seen so far interesting, to learn more about the other capabilities of ShareVault. Again, this presentation is focused on reporting. So now let's finish up with a Q&A phase. You have the ability to enter questions in the question box within ShareVault. I'll kind of pause here and take a look at what questions are coming in. All right, so here's a question that's just come in. Which browsers does ShareVault support? Does it work on Mac too? So, ShareVault is actually, this is one of the major advantages that ShareVault has. ShareVault works on all major browsers, including, of course, IE on Windows, Internet Explorer on Windows, Firefox and Google Chrome on both Mac and PC, and Safari on Mac. Our support for Mac is extremely good compared to other competing virtual data rooms. You can also administer ShareVault from a Mac. Most other virtual data room providers if they allow for Mac access, it's for end users only, and administering it requires Windows, and some even require you to use Internet Explorer. The next question here is, looks like we have some international presence here, which is great. Can the user interface be rendered in different languages? If so, which? So the ShareVault user interface language can be selected by the end user. The available languages currently are English, French, German, Spanish, and Chinese. The user-generated content, however, can be in any language with full support for virtually all international character sets, including the ability to search using characters, Japanese, Chinese, Russian, Hebrew, whatever character set you can think of, and ShareVault supports that, and we're very often used in cross-border transactions. Okay, I'll wait a minute here for other questions to come in. Are there filters so that I can see what's new in my ShareVault since my last login? That's a really good point. Let me hop over to ShareVault here. In addition to the reporting capabilities built into the reports, we actually have some that are you don't really think of as reporting capabilities, but they have similar features. So, for example, I can come here and get a list on the documents page of all the documents that are new since the last login. Nothing's been published to this ShareVault for a while, but looks like there were 15 documents published in the last 90 days. So you can get a list of all the documents that were published in the last 90 days. Then the other thing is that I can quickly, let me collapse my tags, I can quickly get a list of all the documents that I've read within this ShareVault versus documents that I've not yet read. And let's do that. So So that's basically all categories that have been not yet read. You can also get a list of all the documents that have been published by a particular group. So, users of DCH have published 9 documents. This is the list of documents. You can get a list of documents that are viewable by a certain group. So I want to see the users at DCH. What documents can they see? Well, there's a list. And you can get a list of documents that have been viewed by a certain group or even a certain user. So here's a user. What documents have been viewed by this particular user? You can get a report that way. And finally, you can get a report on the original file type. So I want to get a list of all of my JPEGs that are in ShareVault, and boom, it gives you a list of all your JPEGs. So there's kind of that interactive reporting. In addition, if I select a given file, I can see the document access history. This is when the document was downloaded or viewed by each of the different users. So there's kind of a built-in document level access history. And I can even select a range of documents to get the history of accessing all 3 of these documents. Okay, so there's actually some reporting features built right into the documents page. Okay, well, this brings us, I don't see, let me check one more time for questions. I don't see any more questions that have come in. So I think we've reached the end of our time 5 minutes early. We're currently at 11:25 Pacific time. So thank you very much for your time, and make sure to tune in for future webcasts of ShareVault.